Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to tonight's meeting of the Ridgecrest City Council. We will go ahead and call our meeting to order at 5:32 p.m. with a roll call.
Mayor Bruin.
Here.
Mr. Blades.
Present.
Mr. Rajaratnam.
Present.
Mr. Heyman.
Present.
Mr. Gorman.
Here.
5 present. We do have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Next item on our agenda is the approval of our agenda for this evening. Are there anybody who'd like to request a change to the agenda, or I'll entertain a motion for approval?
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and second. Roll call.
Mayor Bruin.
Aye.
Mr. Blades.
Aye.
Mr. Rajaratnam.
Aye.
Mr. Heyman.
Aye.
Mr. Gorman.
Aye.
5 ayes. Motion carries.
Great. Next item is our closed session. We'll go ahead and move into closed session. At this time, we will return at our regular session time of 6 p.m.
And for the record, the item is...
The item is Conference with Legal Counsel, Anticipated Litigation. Thank you, Martin. I'm supposed to read that. Ladies and gentlemen, and we will go ahead and recall from our closed session. Thank you for everyone who is here this evening. We'll go ahead and begin our regular session by, if I could ask everyone to join me for the Pledge of Allegiance, and Captain Tucker, if you would lead us. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Councilman Rajaratnam.
Please join me in prayer if you would. Lord, thank you for giving us this day. Lord, thank you for the opportunity you have given to us to serve this community, Lord. Lord, be with us as we deliberate many issues and take decisions which will affect this community, Lord. Be with our leaders of our country. Guide them in their decisions, Lord. Lord, be with the first responders of our city, Lord. As they serve this community, Lord, protect them and bless them and their families, Lord. Bless each one of us here. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Okay, our first item is our attorney's report out of closed session. Martin?
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, council members. One item was taken up by the council in closed session. It's anticipated litigation. No reportable actions were taken by the city council.
Thank you, sir. Next, if I can ask my council to join us at the podium, we have several presentations to make. You are first. Aw, shucks. My friend.
I didn't know. Cute.
Stride up and do it. Yes, sir.
This is my first of these, so I hope I do it well. I have a proclamation of the City of Ridgecrest proclaiming May of this year Community Action Month. Whereas Community Action Partnership of Kern, that's an impronounceable acronym of CAPK, was established in 1965 and has made essential contributions to individuals and families across Kern County by creating economic opportunities and strengthening communities. And whereas Community Action Partnership of Kern addresses underlying causes of poverty, alleviates the effects, and promotes dignity and self-sufficiency in the communities we serve. And whereas Community Action of Kern operates the Oasis Head Start location in Ridgecrest, tending to the children within the community and providing a head start to their education. And whereas Community Action of Kern operates the Oasis Family Resource Center in Ridgecrest that serves as a hub for residents to obtain case management, food assistance, and access to a wide array of services. Now, therefore, the Ridgecrest City Council hereby proclaims May of this year as Community Action Month in recognition of the hard work and dedication throughout the community proclaimed on the 17th day of this year, of May, and signed proudly by all of us.
And Mr. Gorman, we have representatives from the Community Action Partnership of Kern here to accept.
You're invited to step forward.
Thank you. Freddie, my doctor, just walking in. He just arrived from Bakersfield, so so sorry about that.
I'll leave this here for you.
Thank you. My name is Eric Lebarbe, and I stand before you as the program manager for the Oasis Family Resource Center here in Ridgecrest. I want to further emphasize and thank the Ridgecrest City Council for their tremendous support in declaring May as a Community Action Month. This recognition strengthens the partnership between Community Action Partnership of Kern and the Council, allowing us to make an even greater impact in our community. At the Oasis Family Resource Center, we connect family with a wide range of services. We are primarily funded by First 5 Kern, so we provide full case management services to family with children 0 to 5, thanks to Ada, our case manager, who's sitting in the audience, who does a lot of that work helping local families. We also have a summer bridge program for kindergartner readiness, and we teach court-mandated parenting classes to parents. And we also provide a HEAP, energy assistance program, to help families who struggle, low-income family with energy. And we also provide VITA, the tax service assistance. As mentioned, CAPK service have transformed countless lives through our various programs. We cannot overlook the significant role that the Ridgecrest City Council is doing advocating for the needs of the community most vulnerable members. Your dedication to amplify their voices and working collaboratively with CAPK has been invaluable. As we move forward, we humbly request your continued support and partnership. Together, we can navigate the challenges that lie ahead, identify emerging needs, and create lasting positive change in our community. I'd like to introduce you to Freddie, our director, who's going to give you a little more information about CAPK as well as the overall agency.
Good afternoon, everybody. I apologize. GPS sent me the wrong place. So like Eric said, our Oasis Family Resource Center, our goal is to serve the families here in Ridgecrest as well as the surrounding communities. We provide, some small services, but eventually we'd love to provide additional services as we continue to apply for funding and grants. And our goal is to help as many people as we can so that they can become self-sustainable themselves. CAPK was established in 1965, and it's our goal, again, to fight the war on poverty. Some counties see it more, some cities see it more than others, but eventually our goal is to help people become self-sustainable and get out of that poverty that they're struggling with. Any questions?
Thank you. Thank you. If you would not mind playing the short video with some, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
For me, I feel certified when somebody appreciates it. They say, thank you, because you don't have nothing in the house, and you come in at the right time. The whole month or the whole year I'm working, that's my pay. My name is Freddie Jimenez, warehouse specialist to the food bank. Warehouse specialist means what I do right here is forklift driver, making orders, driving trucks, deliveries, pickup donations, and inventory. I started volunteer in a food bank in 2001 because one day I come in for ask for food, and I see what the food bank do to the community. So I asked the supervisor, can I come and help you? I'm not doing nothing. And they said, yes, you want to start on Monday? So I come in Monday, I started Monday, and that day, my life changed. When I go home, I tell my wife. I say, my wife, she's so happy. He said, you want to work? You work in the food bank? You want to work? Yes, I do. I want to work in the food bank. And I love it, what I do, help the community. I never forget this one. One parent's coming to two kids, one boy, one girl, and the girl has their birthday. So I got a cake, and the cake is a pink cake. It got a little toy right there on top. So I asked the supervisor, Linda, I want a big favor. I want to give this cake to the little girl. She's crying for the cake. She has a birthday. She got a birthday today. Freddie, so you give the cake for that little girl. Everybody we want a cake. So what I do, I put it inside the banana box, and I cover to the top. The parents say, what is that? They say, open your car. I'll put the box in your car. The girl opened they take the paper from the top, they take it out, the paper, and they say, it started crying. And the parents started crying. And now, it touched my heart, still touched my heart. Because I remember that. Because I remember when the little kid, I don't know how it came. So, I got the opportunity to give it to somebody. So that day, it touched my heart, and it gave me more power to me coming to the food bank. That's the thing, I'm still here. Because I can build houses. I can do a lot of things, and but my thing is help the community.
That's awesome.
I'm going to have you all join us up front for a quick photo. Right up on the platform there. Travis, thanks for getting that chair. As long as you know. Let me get that for you, sir. Oh, let me get that for you. Step forward, right there in the center. We'll get Johnny step forward. There you go. Scoot up, Skip. Thank you, guys. Thank you for everything you're doing for us. Thank you.
I would like to have, it's going to be a lot of folks, but I'd like to have 4 different groups step up, and that's members of the Ridgecrest Regional Hospital. Do we have somebody from the hospital? No? That's okay. Kern County Fire Department, Liberty Ambulance, and the Ridgecrest Police Department. If you could please come all the way up front. Come all the way up front here. Usually we sit here and we talk as you guys just sit there, but I would like you to all come up front. Thank you for this, and I'll just talk while you're coming up. I had the distinct privilege. It was
Marnie, that means you.
It was, if you don't mind, sir. Thank you. On Cinco de Mayo to go on a police ride-along, and on that police ride-along, just because he's a captain, and on that ride-along, I got a chance to interface with each one of these groups, and at each one of those moments, it was one of the worst moments of those people's day, their life in some cases. And you guys deal with it routinely, you're used to it. It's not something that bothers you anymore. But I can tell you we responded to a little girl, 2 or 3 years old, with a gash on the back of her head. We responded to somebody else who was unresponsive. And you guys, you rolled right in, you took care of it. Everybody felt calm and safe. And I went from 2 o'clock in the afternoon to 2 o'clock in the morning, from one call to the next, getting to witness the professionalism, the care that each one of you showed for the entire community, no matter who it was. And I was very proud of you, and never more proud to be on a council for a community like this. So if you don't mind, I'll read the proclamation. And this is for Emergency Medical Services Week. Whereas emergency medical services are a vital public service. Whereas the members of emergency medical services teams are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury. And whereas the emergency medical services system consists of first responders, emergency medical technicians, paramedics, firefighters, educators, administrators, emergency nurses, emergency physicians, and others. And whereas the members of emergency medical service teams, whether career or volunteer, engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills. And whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value and the accomplishments of emergency medical services providers by designated Emergency Medical Services Week. Now, therefore, the Ridgecrest City Council, in recognition of this event, does hereby proclaim the week of May 21st to 27th, 2023 as Emergency Medical Services Week with the theme EMS Strong. We encourage the community to observe this week with appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities, and extended a heartfelt thank you to all EMS, first responders in this community. Proclaim this 17th day of May, 2023 by Mayor Bruin, myself, Mayor Pro Tem Roger Rotnam, Councilmember Heyman, and Councilmember Gorman. Thank you very much.
You want to say anything, or you just want to get your picture over with?
Yeah, do you want to say anything?
Okay.
I think at least Captain Tucker, I bet Captain Tucker probably has something.
We won't fit.
You guys can fit, if you all go right there, you'll fit in the picture.
Where we want some sides? I don't want to be in front.
There's plenty, get in there.
I just showed you elected.
You gotta scrunch over here.
Squeeze.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Did you want something else?
Let's have, the supervisors step forward a little bit. Maybe step down on the bottom here. Mayor?
Yes.
We're gonna do one more.
I got a feeling we're coming in, okay.
I'm gonna have everyone in behind the supervisors, and I'd like, you guys can fight over who gets to stand in front with the supervisors, but then I'd like everybody else to kind of file in behind so I can see faces.
You're holding a proclamation.
Be advised that if you can't see me, I can't see you, so.
I see her.
Thank you guys for everything you do. One more, skip, one to go. One more.
Oh.
Thought I made it. No. One to go.
Good evening. So it's my honor tonight to present a proclamation of the City of Ridgecrest, California, National Public Works Week, May 21st to 27th, 2023. So whereas the Public Works Department provides services for our community that are a vital and integral part of the citizens' everyday lives, and whereas the support of the community is vital to the efficient operation of the public works systems and programs such as water, streets, fleet maintenance, transit, building maintenance, wastewater treatment, and solid waste collection. And whereas the health, safety, and comfort of this community greatly depends on these infrastructure, facilities, and services. And what I'm going to do is kind of break down that paragraph, and the next one I think pretty much nails it on the head for our Public Works Department. That part I just read about the health, the safety, and the comfort of the community is, greatly depends on these infrastructure, facilities, and services. Quality of life in a town a lot of times is relegated by the Parks Department, but I got to say that the Public Works provides an extensive amount of quality of life to the community. And whereas the quality and effectiveness of these facilities, as well as their planning, design, and construction, is vitally dependent upon the efforts and skill of the Public Works professionals. And that paragraph, too, says a lot about our Public Works does a fantastic job of providing the services that they perform for the city. And so moving on, whereas the efficiency and effectiveness of these qualified and skilled professionals contribute to the quality of life that residents and visitors alike enjoy and rely upon the City of Ridgecrest. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Mayor and City Council that we recognize and extend appreciation to our dedicated and skilled staff, consultants, and contractors, and hereby proclaim the week of May 21st to 27th, 2023 as National Public Works Week. And be it further proclaimed that the Mayor and City Council request that all citizens and civic organizations acquaint themselves with the issues involved in providing public works services to our community and to recognize the contributions which all public works employees make every day to our health, safety, and comfort, and quality of life. So proclaim this 17th day, May 2023, by our Mayor Eric Bruin, Kyle Blades, Vice Mayor, Solomon Rajaratnam, Mayor Pro Tem, Council members Skip Gorman, and myself. And so do we have members of our Public Works team here tonight?
Just a few.
So I just want to say that you guys do a fantastic job. We have our Public Works has a great director, and we have a great staff, so.
Good job getting your crew here, Randy.
Thank you, sir. And if you'd like to speak, you go right ahead.
So,
You're
real
short,
quick,
right?
I just want to say thank you guys. Often you guys are forgotten. Wastewater especially, most of your guys' stuff is underground, and a lot of people take for granted every time they flush the toilet. So, and I don't say that lightly because my kids do it every day. So, thank you guys, truly. You guys all work so hard. You inspire me to do the best that I can do for you guys because of how hard I see you guys work every day. And it does not go unnoticed. I get numerous compliments about the things you guys do. So just know that there are people out there watching and that they do absolutely appreciate you. Thank you, guys.
Fire? Yeah, I drive for Ridgecrest Transit, and like that sign says, "In God we trust." We do every day. This is public transportation, and just yesterday we had a 2- and 3-year-old little girl follow big sister on the bus. We didn't know that till she forgot her homework, and they were a block away. I went back to the house. The mother's with a towel screaming and put everything back together without the police, so. That's all I got to say. That's pretty. Yeah. I had to put a plug in for God. He's right up there.
Now come over here and take a picture. Okay. Yeah. Just squeeze it in. Come on. Okay, we get close. I don't mind. No problem with that.
We good?
I can only imagine what my wife would be doing if that happened. And that's when I go. Because I know what my wife would be doing. Would be ready to kill somebody. And it wouldn't be herself or the child. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you. Keep flowing. The road's working.
Yeah, you did. You got a little emotional. It meant something to you. That's what happened.
Will allow us to once again thank all the incredible people that help make our community what it is. From the hospital to our fire department to our police department to CAPK, our public works department. We have an incredible community, and the community is incredible because of the people within it. Thank you all for your service, and we greatly appreciate it. Next item on our agenda is our public comment of items not on the agenda. Persons wishing to address the council on matters that are within the council's jurisdiction and do not already appear on the agenda may do so at this time. Council will not respond to any public comments, but may provide direction to staff to collect information. Pursuant to the Brown Act, City Council may not act on an item that does not appear on this agenda. Speakers are limited to 5 minutes. The public comment section of the agenda is limited to a total of 1 hour, and each speaker is asked to provide his or her name. And we'll go ahead and begin with any public comment from the floor. Mr. Corlett.
Leroy Corlett, 1217 North Daniel Street, Ridgecrest, California. I just wanted to say, I've talked to many city council watchers, and they say we have a very good city council now. And I just want to let you know that you're well respected. I really came to thank you for putting in a handicap ramp, Pearson Park. The day it went in, and then when the barricades went down, I saw a lady with a stroller pushing a stroller up that ramp at 5 o'clock. And you know, without that ramp, she would have had to go a couple hundred feet up the street to a public personal driveway and then come back. She would have been walking in the street around the corner out of sight of the drivers. So it was a very very unsafe situation she would have been in without that. So I just wanted to thank you for following through on that.
Mr. Collette, if I can thank you as well. I got to tell you, the best way our council succeeds is through citizens telling us simple needs that we can do to address, and we greatly appreciate you as well.
Oh, thank you.
And over to the city staff, Travis and Ron, thanks.
Thanks for jumping on it. Appreciate
You
it.
guys make stuff happen.
Go ahead and pull the mic down to you, Sophia. There you go. Perfect.
Hi, my name is Sophia Merck, and I just wanted to let you guys know, thank you for recognizing the Public Works, the EMTs, and all the other people that you recognize. I do appreciate that, and I appreciate what they do for the community. However, I do have some words, and they're not all good.
It's okay.
That I'm really concerned with the lack of cooperation between the city council and the general public. The COVID played a big part in the lack of partnership, and I understand that. A lot of people stopped coming to city council. Our voices were not heard. And sometimes when we called in, it was to no avail. I got shut off so many times, I gave up. And that's on me. I should have kept calling, but I didn't. And what's really sad is your little sign up here. It should have on display the telephone number to call in. It really should have that. But the lack of cooperation between the city council and the public is playing off in so many different areas. It's playing off with the water and now the garbage. And I realize that the state passed a bill, and it was 1383. And you had to do something. I understand that. And so did Kern County. But Kern County never came to us taxpayers. And instead, now they're going to levy $559.80 to each one of us that live in the county. Our assessment on some of those properties, I know a lady that pays $80. On top of that, she's going to have to pay $559.80. That's not right. And according to the state, you can't do that. 2% is all that you're allowed to do. And one last thing. Last time you had a meeting, you talked about approving something that was not on the agenda, on the AI. And really, I don't want anybody knowing what store I'm going to pick up a roll of toilet paper. That's ridiculous. Think about what you're really setting forward. That what's not on the agenda, and to approve that wasn't correct. And I really do appreciate the service that all of you do. I know some of you have met you in many, many different circumstances, and I appreciate that. But please stick to the agenda. I don't need a diatribe by somebody's self-importance. I don't need that. Just stick to the agenda, and we'll get along just fine. Thank you. Oh, I'm going to leave some papers here. I know this is the city, but if anybody wants to fill these out in protest to the county, I encourage you to do that.
Thank you, Sophia. And I'll have a member of our staff reach out to discuss the AI because nothing was approved, and I want to make sure that that's clarified, but we'll make sure somebody reaches out and talks to you. Thanks, sir. Thank you. Sir, go ahead.
My name's Mike Sonat. I had a great day. I got a call this morning at 4:20 a.m., ironically, from Officer Cushman that called me this morning? It was Officer Cushman, an honorary road runner. They found my bikes. And I'll tell you what, it's a small thing, no big deal, but it was a big deal for me. And I know a lot of people have a lot of problems and a lot of issues, and the police department deals with them. And I love local police. There was a saying back in the day, support your local police. I love the local police. I don't like national police. I don't like state police. I like my local police. And I like the county sheriff because he's our last line of defense in defense of our Constitution. Ever since I've come back to this state and this city, the times I've called both Kern County and the city of Ridgecrest, I've been treated just incredibly well. They've always responded quickly. So I would like to thank my friends at the Ridgecrest Police Department, Sergeant Ryan Maroney, Officer Kyle Cushman, and Sergeant Rowland, who first called me back after I called the switchboard person asking for somebody to talk to about the report that I filed with Kern County. So, thank you, sir. Now I'm going to get angry. You don't know what happened last meeting. I just posted something on Roadrunner 395. This is for the public. You have no idea what these people did last weekend or last meeting. And I'm going to use some nasty words to describe it. It was dishonest and it was a betrayal. You know exactly why I'm upset about this. Kyle Blades knows why I'm upset about this. Mayor Brune absolutely knows. That was the most ridiculous, orchestrated little stunt I've ever seen. Okay? I'm going to rebrand the city of Ridgecrest, the most patriotic city in America, the most fascist city in America. Do you hear me? You will not track the population with artificial intelligence tracking geofencing software. No. No. Don't tell me that they won't know our names. AI will figure it out. Okay? Don't you do it. I'm going to hold you account. Don't do it. Tell McCarthy. I'm going to tell McCarthy. I'm going to make this national. You're sneaking it in. It's disgusting.
Thank you, sir. Any other public comment from the floor? Okay. I believe we have one caller on the phone. Public comment from the phone?
Yes.
Caller, go ahead.
This is Tom Wicknick. And I wanted to say that I want to echo my appreciation for the Public Works thing like you did tonight. I think it was a great thing, and I'm going to start my comment off with a positive comment, and that is, about a year and a half ago, the city came in and repaved my street where I live, and they did a great job. It was so nice to have a newly repaved street, and the city did a great job on it. Unfortunately, after they did that, then the water system come in and made their cuts in the road. Then after they get done, then we get one cable company come through making all their cuts in the road. And then after they get done, another cable company comes in making all their cuts in the road. So the nice road that we had that was provided by the city has now deteriorated into speed bumps. Every other yard has a speed bump now in the street, especially in the eastbound lanes of my street. Now, I'm not looking for individual attention, but I guess my question is, on the inspection of these cuts, I know they do temporary cuts, and then they come back and repatch them later, supposedly for the final patch. And one of the companies just did that about last week and did some of the repatches here last week, and they did an okay job. There's still some that have not been repatched, and I hope somebody is coming in afterwards. My question, though, is this, is that does city staff inspect all these cuts on the roads throughout the whole town, or is that contracted out? Who does the inspections of these cuts?
We do, right? Both. Tom, Public Works Director Mr. Reed indicates that it's walked by both our local city staff as well as our contract staff.
Okay. Well, then, because I feel good about having our city staff going in and inspecting all these, but I know we have big staff. They can under contract and some of us. But anyway, I just wanted to claim that it's disheartening to see all the cuts in roads right after the city just made a nice road for it. And the second thing would be is I agree with the last caller about this trial fair. Everybody goes to support that at all. We private let, I
Just
guess.
wait, Tom,
you're
I
breaking up.
apologize. You're breaking about every other word. I apologize. Since our response to you, we haven't been able to make out much of what you're saying. I apologize.
Okay, how is it sounding now?
That's better, sir. Thank you.
Okay. I would want to just agree with you, previous speaker about the tracking software where people are going to go after the night on Boston Street and everything. I saw that discussion and I didn't like that. I don't want somebody tracking me. And I don't know why we got to have tracking software and monitor people and their actions. And we have no privacy left if we start doing this stuff. You got a line somewhere, gentlemen, and I hope you're all line here. And thank you. That's what I have to say.
Thank you, sir. Are there any other callers on the phone? Just want to go and reiterate for anybody who is on YouTube. We had some conversation on the previous meeting about calling in. Same thing. I'll go ahead and provide the number one more time, and then I'll allow for a few seconds. The number is 760-499-5010. That was an appreciated comment to possibly put the number back on the screen. I thought that wasn't a bad idea. But once again, that's 760-499-5010 if you wanted to dial in during the public comment section, which is when that opportunity is, or when there's public comment or response requested in an agendized item. I'll give a few seconds. Is there any other callers on the phone? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on to our council announcements and direction. We'll go ahead and begin with Mr. Gorman.
I have none.
Okay. Doc?
I'll let you elaborate on Balsam Street.
Okay. Mine is simply why I'm dressed down for this evening is I have my staff shirt on for Night on Balsam Street, which is this Friday evening. I would like to certainly invite our community to come out for a great opportunity, a great event. There's so many other wonderful events coming up in our short future that the city's getting involved with, including, of course, we have Safe Grad coming up in about 2 weeks at Saracosa College, and I know our city, as well as the college and many other local organizations, are helping to support that event. We also have our fireworks coming up on July 1st. Interesting story with the fireworks. I was unaware of the number of other communities that are having to withdraw from having fireworks. Thanks to the support of this community, we've been able to. But we definitely are out there, and I think anybody who wants to get involved, helping with the fundraising or helping to get involved in that event, certainly reach out to any one of our council members or the city staff. I'm sure we'd love to have your help and participation. But for this week, I'd love to see as many people as possible on Friday night at Night on Balsam Street. It's going to be a lot of fun. We've expanded it. We've doubled the size of the event to bring space for more people. We brought more food vendors in, more events, more games, more, I would just say more, period, on all fronts. And we're very excited about bringing this event to you. And I will tell you that, again, we're going to still see a lot of lessons that we need to learn from this event. And we're excited about how we're going to learn and be able to bring you Night on Balsam 3 in the future. So, Mr. Rajaratnam.
I'd like to make a mention about the generosity of this community. I have attended Rotary Club auction dinner, and I have attended Chaina Lake Museum auction dinner. Rotary Club raised $40,000, and which would be going to the students' scholarship, the students who are going to college. So they are helping our community students to go to the college. So, and then the museum raised around $50,000. So that is going for the construction. So really want to thank our community for their generosity in participating in these events and supporting these and these good causes, that would be helping our community. Thank you very much.
And Mr. Blades.
Yeah, so we do have a movie night this Saturday. What time is it, Narissa?
That's right.
Is it sundown? Yeah. So at sundown, there'll be a movie night. The movie is Strange World. Okay. I also don't want to, we had several comments about something I brought up last meeting, so I'm going to address that real quick. It's not an agenda item, but since it's my comment section, I'm going to touch on it. The first thing is the Brown Act. We're all painfully aware of the Brown Act up here. We adhere to it. We live by it. We know all about it. The section of the agenda that's being referenced was during the committees. We give a, if you don't watch council meetings a lot, which a lot of people don't, they check in and check out over the years. What we do is, since we all attend different committee meetings, we, at the end, after discussion items, we give a quick brief saying, hey, this is what came up during committees. Just so that the whole council's aware, since, because of the Brown Act, we can't call each other all the time and tell each other what's going on the various committees. We have to find out about it here. Or if we get a chance to talk to the city manager or the staff, that's one thing. But so during the committee, it was an economic development committee. Now, it's something called Placer AI. Feel free to please look it up. Many cities across, not just California, but the United States are using it. What it is to their, they should have never probably put AI in their title. Probably nobody knew that chatbot AI and all that stuff was going to blow up the way it did. But now that it has blown up, and they were testifying in front of Congress, I think just this week. Was it this week?
Yes.
Yeah,
this week.
then
That was this week?
you're right, that really has put AI in the spotlight. And that is something the United States, the federal government needs to get their hands around. That is something that can become real unsafe real quick by anybody with nefarious thought. So I don't want to downplay that at all. But for a couple of years now, and even before I brought it up, the company that's used, that we've looked at a couple of times. Again, they're called Placer AI, and I'm saying it a few times so anybody can look them up if they want. What they do is they take an aggregate. They don't take personal data. They take an aggregate of data. It's third party. And what they clump together. They can't, they don't know anybody. They don't know anybody about anybody's personal information. It's just given in a group. And that's how they get the information. And what they do is that you can, if you have the app, you can circle in and look at different areas and demographics on how it's being used. So the reason it was questioned by a few members of the public as if it was a Brown Act is because I said, hey, it was discussed at the committee. It is definitely within the purview of the staff, but in the name of transparency, I wanted to bring it up. I wanted to make sure that we're all talking about it. I'm not going to shy away from hard conversations. I'm not afraid of those. I want to make sure that we're talking about it, and the public should know about things like that. So it was just a brief and a recap of what went on in the committee. If anybody wants to know anything more about the software and our talks with the company, legal arguments, technical details, you can talk to me or any other member of the economic committee. And that's all I have.
And the next economic development meeting is June 5th, is that?
It is the first Monday of every month.
Right, so it's June 5th, and we would also.
Feel free.
You would be more than welcome to come and
Please do.
share your information and your opinions. We'd love to have them.
Yeah, we actually had a demonstration from the company. They showed up and just walked us through how the program works. We've gotten it before. I've been to ICSC in Vegas and seen it countless times, but we had them call in just so that the committee could see what it looks like. Did you have something, Scott?
Well, other than, is this something that is going to be brought up to the council from the committee?
It's up to the staff. If the staff decides to push it up, they push it up. If we want further discussion, then that's okay too.
And again, we're in council announcements and direction, not discussion, so we can't really do a back and forth. This is Mr. Blade's opportunity to speak, but.
Yep, I just want to make sure to address that. There was no Brown Act violations. I'm not introducing chatbot or ChatGPT AI into city government. That's wild and crazy. So want to make sure that was clear. All right.
Thank you, sir. Next item on the agenda is the consent calendar. There are two items on our consent calendar this evening. First is item number 2, initializing staff to prepare an engineer's report for the intent to levy and collection of assessments for Consolidated Landscape and Lighting District 2012-1 for fiscal year 23-24 pursuant to the provisions of Part 2 of Division 15 of the California Streets and Highway Code, and the announcement of a public hearing on June 7th, 2023. for the proposed assessment. And item number 3, which is initializing staff to prepare an engineer's report for the intent to levy and collection of assessments for Drainage Benefit Assessment District 2016-1, the district for fiscal year 2023-24, pursuant to the provisions of the Benefit Assessment Act of 1982, being Chapter 6.4 of the California Government Code, and the announcement of a public hearing on June 7th, 2023, for the proposed assessment. Does any member of the public wish to have? Does any member of the council wish to have an item pulled? Hearing none, does any member of the public wish to have an item pulled? Hearing none, do I have a motion for approval of the consent calendar as presented?
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and second. Roll call.
Mayor Bruin?
Aye.
Mr. Blades?
Aye.
Mr. Rajaratnam?
Aye.
Mr. Heyman?
Aye.
Mr. Gorman?
Aye.
5 ayes, motion carries.
Okay, next item is item number 4. This is our discussion and action items. Item number 4 is our bi-monthly discussion regarding the board of the Indian Wells Valley Groundwater Authority. That'll be Mr. Heyman, but I'm going to take the moment just to throw out there, if you haven't watched this meeting, it's incredibly interesting on the water release, and I know you're going to cover that, but I think the estimate was 4,000 acre feet had been released in a month's time, and our city uses about 7,000 acre feet is what our safe yield is, right?
That's the safe yield.
Yeah. So it's just incredible the amount of water that they're dealing with the snowpack, and it provides a glaring illustration on why state water storage and state water infrastructure is so critical to the longevity of our communities, especially rural communities like Ridgecrest, because water, we've been spending, almost a decade now in water fights amongst ourselves in different ways or in different moments. And I can only imagine what a difference it would make if they could properly store the type of record snowpack that we've had and how it would alleviate some of those water disputes. I'll turn it to you.
Thank you, Mayor. So yes, the Groundwater Authority did meet last Wednesday on May 10th, and we had a very, let's say, thin agenda. There were no agenda items, and so with that, I'll just kind of go over some of the highlights of the meeting, particularly with the Water Resource Manager's report, and we'll start off with the water releases that the mayor was referring to. So basically, for those that don't know, we have a record snowpack in the Sierras. I believe it's over 240% of the snowpack and water. So the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power, DWP, has been doing emergency releases of water. And so basically, there's 5 release points in the basin that they're releasing water. And so if you think of the basin from up north being toward Little Lake or the coastal geothermal area, and then down to the close to the 178 turnoff to Lake Isabella. This entails kind of an essential part of it. There's Boulder Draw, followed by moving south Indian Wells, then Freeman Wash, and then Sage Canyon, Bird Springs, and Freeman Wash being close to that 178 turnoff. So since they started releasing water, the mayor's correct, it was approximately 4,000 acre feet of water that has been released to date. They have since shut off release at Boulder Draw and Bird Springs, the most northern release and the most southern release. And so this water release is being closely monitored by both, I guess you could say a 3-way source, but it's being monitored by the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power, the Naval Weapons Station, and the Groundwater Authority. And so concerns are, that we don't want to release so much water that it negatively impacts the operations of the China Lake Naval Weapons Station. And so that's being, and let's add a fourth one in there. The Water District, who is currently, you could say, is kind of heading up and working with DWP on the water releases. So the Water District and the the Water District, the Department of Water and Power are working with the Navy to ensure that these releases are safe. And so, but it is a lot of water being released. And like the mayor said, it'd be nice if we could capitalize on using that water somehow. So with that, what the Groundwater Authority is doing is they're taking water samples of each of these release sites and identifying the chemical nature of that or structural nature of that water. in hopes of monitoring it and seeing where that water goes, if it shows up in other parts of the basin, which would give us a lot of data as to percolation and where the water is moving to. So I'm anxious to see if we're able to discern any information or, data from that in a positive note. They have water, they call them data loggers, set up to monitor this. So, and with that, there was some discussion as, how could that water be used? Could we save it? Could we direct inject it? Costs are always a factor, and being able to store it somewhere. And the big fact is that this is very intermittent circumstances that have played, from nature. They don't happen that often. I think the last one was, don't quote me, but I believe it was either 5 or 7 years ago that they had a release of water, an excessive water year. So they don't occur very often. So, but any way that we could capitalize on the work, because it's 4,000 acre feet now, these releases are going to be ongoing through most of the summer. So I'm sure by the end of the release dates, there's going to be a lot of water moved. And so this is a side note, but if anybody's been monitoring Lake Isabella, they've currently been releasing 6,900 acre feet of water out of Lake Isabella, which is huge. They're trying to manage water, control and flooding in the, as the water moves out of the canyon toward Bakersfield. So not just here, but in other parts of the state, I think this is an eye-opener as to how could we capture this water, use it in a positive manner. So I hope some good will come out of it. Last time I reported a little bit about the Rose Valley well up by Coso on the north end of the aquifer. They were drilling a well, a monitoring well and data well. They had run into rock. I think I mentioned that they were chiseling through the rock, but they went through 91 foot of rock, and they did punch through it. So that well is going to be up and running and be able to collect data to give us information about water movement out of the north end of the, coming down from the north. Aside from that, yeah, there wasn't too much else going on. We reviewed a little bit of legislation that's upcoming in the state legislature, primarily DCIP. There's a state, we have a federal DCIP, which is Defense Community Infrastructure Program. So we have been able to utilize the DCIP to help with infrastructure costs. So the state version of it would be to help add to that and to offset infrastructure costs for agencies like our local Indian Wells Valley Groundwater Authority. Along with that, probably the only other thing to report on, there was a press release on the legislative side, or not legislative, but the legal side that was in the papers that pertained to a writ of mandate with Mojave Pistachios. And it was worded well from their perspective. A lot of folks thought it was a winning of an appeal from Mojave Pistachios, but it's not a win of an appeal. It's basically a continuation or ongoing movement within the court system that the judge is requesting a report or data from the Groundwater Authority to make his decision. So it really isn't any decision that has been made at this point. So, and aside from that, I believe that covers most of what we went over. So I'm open to any questions or comments that the council may have.
I don't have any questions. I'm going to go ahead and reiterate the phone number one more time. That's 760-499-5010 if you wanted to call in and ask any questions in regards to this. And while we have our discussion, again, I thought it was amazing just the amount of water that they're talking about. And I have heard, I believe that there's some concerns with Highway 178 potentially washing out between Isabella and Bakersfield.
Flooding in the lower end of it too.
Flooding in the lower end, even going into Bakersfield at a certain point at the lower end of the Kern River. I know that it's beautiful seeing Lake Isabella healthy, but at the same time, it's amazing the amount of water that's still pouring down out of Kern River, and we haven't even seen the peak of it yet.
And like I said, all through the state, if anybody's familiar with Tulare Lake, back in the day, Tulare Lake used to be, I believe it was the largest freshwater lake this side of the Great Lakes. And right now, it's kind of reforming. There's massive flooding throughout the Tulare Lake Basin, and but yeah, off and on throughout the whole state, there's areas of.
What's the name of the lake up there? I can't remember. It's always so flat and low, but it's almost never had water as long as I've lived up here.
In the Central Valley?
No, it's up in the, not Lake Tulare. It's on the other side. It's at, no, it's up in the Mammoth area.
Walker?
No, it's a lake that you never see, but it's big. I don't know. I can't forget. Yeah, I'll find it.
Walker Lake, yeah. So, okay, that concludes my report.
Huh? To the right as you're going up to the Mammoth
Waddle?
side.
Crowley?
Crowley?
It's not Crowley. Maybe it's Crowley.
Tenamaha Lake.
Maybe it's Crowley.
Well,
Might be
yeah,
Crowley.
there's
That's
only so
very,
many
very. It's a big flat lake, but it seems like it's never had water. And all of a sudden, I said, "Oh my God, look at Crowley Lake!" And it's
So
shocking.
a lot of the water in the Inyo Valley is monitored by DWP. So like your Crowley, your what they call Billy Ponds, the ponds and the little areas of water up through the basin. That's pretty much regulated by DWP. They keep things on a pretty
Yeah, but they've
steady-
had to been dumping water.
There's places up there that have water. I thought it was interesting because when you drive up the valley for the last many, many years, you'll see pockets of old cottonwoods and stuff where it's just dry. It has been dry for a long time. But now if you drive up there, you will see pools of water throughout the basin. So you can see where at one time there must have been water for those trees to have grown. So it's refreshing to see it.
Yeah. Just like seeing Lake Isabel again. Okay, I went and gave the phone number. I've provided some time. I just want to double check. Is there any public comment from the floor? Seeing none, is there any public comment on the phones? Okay, thank you much. We'll go ahead and move on to item number 5. Item number 5 is an ordinance introduction. This is introduction and first reading of an ordinance of the Ridgecrest City Council amending the zoning map. This is a zone change 2201 of the City of Ridgecrest and approving corresponding resolution of the City Council. Approving General Plan Amendment GPA 2201 and consider approval of a mitigated negative declaration in connection with the proposed amendments. And I think, next slide for corresponding 3 motions.
Yeah, not yet, yeah.
Mrs. Spurlock.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. So tonight, what I have for you is a general plan amendment and a zone change. Maybe. Oh, it's off. Great. Okay, so this is the site. It's a vacant parcel. It's located between Bowman, Downs, and Raider. Here's a kind of a photograph of the site. So this is looking from Down Street onto the corner of Raider. The general plan amendment is 22-01. The existing is a residential medium density with a park designation. The proposed density is a residential high density and removing the park designation. Also, on the land use map here, it still shows that commercial designation, but that was changed for a previous project. The zone change is 22-01. The existing is residential low density, multifamily, and the proposed is for R3, which is residential medium density for multifamily. And that zone change for the CG that you see in the corner was also done to R3. So this item came to Planning Commission in April with a corresponding site plan. There was site plan review 21-06 The site plan was for the construction of 361 multifamily units. They included a clubhouse, play areas. It's a 3-phased project. Planning Commission approved that, subject to City Council's approval of the general plan amendment and the zone change. The density was increased for that site plan, and that's what the general plan amendment and the zone change is asking. We did have public comment at the meeting from several of the surrounding homeowners that were notified, and Planning Commission did, listen to their concerns and kind of address those. One of the main things that a lot of residents were concerned about was the traffic on Raider. And one of the things that was done with Travis was changing the site plan to allow a bridge that would access the site from Bowman, so that all the traffic from all these units would not just go on to Raider, because that's what the original site plan proposed. However, I will say that the site plan, when they came to us to ask to increase the density and remove the sump that was on this originally, we entertained that idea because they were adding improvements to the Bowman Channel. So those improvements benefit the whole community instead of just having another sump on a piece of property. So that was one of the reasons that we entertained it. And also the increase in density for this project only increased it by 61 units. So it's not like it went from 200 to 400. It went from 301 to 361. So we, as staff, felt that was a good trade to have the increased public improvements to the drainage on Bowman Channel. And then also the bridge crossing would open up the kind of landlocked area that whole area has, because the only access for all that multifamily, and then there's single family vacant south of that, is through existing neighborhoods. So having the applicant put in that bridge across the Bowman Channel just kind of benefits and opens up everything for better circulation. But Planning Commission heard that, they approved it, and recommended that council approve the general plan amendment and the zone change. So, and the mitigated negative declaration, the initial study right here was circulated. And we have that here if you'd like to have some light reading. And we are recommending you adopt that as well. So if you have any questions, our consultant, Asoka, is on the line as well. So if there's anything I can't answer, he can help. But other than that, I'm here to answer anything. Oh, I do have a couple corrections to the resolution.
You trying to beat Solomon to it?
No. Well, I would.
Yes.
I don't know. Did you get them, Solomon? So I will send them to Rika, but they're actually just, what we have is the sections that are numbered are incorrect. It's just they reference the former code instead of the current code. So in the 6th whereas, it says pursuant to 20-1.10, that code section is now 106-61. So it's just referencing what code sections in our municipal code.
So again, just for make sure it's clear for the record, the changes would be what?
So it changes pursuant to sections 20-1.01. We're going to strike all of those code sections and update it to the current code sections, which are 106-61, 106-287, and 106-241. And then also in the ordinance, in the findings section number 2, it's the same thing. So it's going to be 106-278 and 106-241.
You have those? Great, thank you. So proceed with council comments. I'll go ahead and jump off first, just the Bowman Bridge. Where are they talking about it relative to what street? I'm assuming to Gordon, but I'm just curious. Because they're not going to complete the road to connect to Raider, correct?
No, so it's going to come out.
I'm just double checking what they're talking about.
Let me see if I have it in the planning staff report here. 550 feet east of Downs.
Perfect. Okay. And so that would just allow for, and then they would not be obligated to place that in place until they reach the third phase of development or upon the first?
It's in the first.
Can you go back to this?
Can you go back to the map then? If I'm remembering correctly from the Planning Commission development, so is phase 1 further south to Bowman? Just to clarify, because I thought their phase 1 was the.
No, phase 1 is right against Raider. So then what they'll have is on the most east portion of the property, they're going to have a road that's going to connect down and around the property.
So there'll be a partially completed road that connects to their development specifically.
So they are required per the conditions to put in a connecting road that connects from phase 1 across the bridge to Bowman as part of their offsite improvement for any phase of construction. So the pass through from their grand entrance that's in between, what are those two roads? It's not Sherwood, it's.
No, it's Gordon. It's Gordon and Heather.
Gordon and Heather. Yeah, so where their main entrance point is, they will have to facilitate a route for their pedestrians to be able to exit onto Bowman with their first phase of construction.
Oh, is the bridge just a pedestrian bridge?
No. The bridge is a
okay.
40-foot wide, everything but sidewalks bridge, because we want, no pedestrian. We don't want them walking on the north side of the paved Bowman Road because it's small in room, and we want them to utilize the bike path for pedestrian traffic. So.
Okay, so it's essentially going to be a 2-lane road into their development. It's basically would dead end into their development because they're not going to connect it all the way to Gordon.
It's not going to connect all the way to Gordon. It's going to connect all the way to their drive-through, through their, you'll be able to, if you wanted to, you could hang a right.
And then drive through their development.
To get to it,
Get to it, yes. But it's not a complete city street that connects to Gordon.
No, sir. It is not dedicated city street. It is nothing that the city would have to maintain other than the bridge once it's dedicated.
Okay. That was my next question, is what is our maintenance requirements as it relates to that?
And it's not really a bridge in the sense, the only reason why we have to classify it as a bridge is because of the span. It's really a culvert, an in-ground culvert that is going over it, but because of the span of it, it's classified as a bridge.
Okay. And then, again, I think that while people's concerns may not have been accurate, is it fair to say that the vocal concern was in regards to the type of housing?
Yes.
And this type of housing, first, I'm highly supportive of low-income or low-income designated housing, but this is not low-income designated housing, correct?
No, this is market rate housing. If they would have applied, there are advantages to the applicant to apply for affordable housing.
Right.
There's concessions that this city has to make with an affordable housing project.
And there's state advantages. There's a lot of fiscal advantages, but
there's incentives.
There's incentives.
That we, have to provide when we're planning, in the planning process. There's density bonuses they can get that would allow for this without even a zone change.
But that is not this project. Just want to make sure that that's stated on the
This project did not
record.
apply that way. So we have no indication that they have any intent to do that.
And to elaborate on that, one of the residents came to me and I said I would personally do some research for him to figure out if after the fact they can change it to a low-income housing residence. I found nothing in the code that said you couldn't. All the code language was geared towards renovating old buildings that were not being used, so like old hotels, old things like that. But in my opinion, I would say it would not make sense to go to a low-income development because they would already have the note, they would already have all the stuff that they would take in, so they would miss out on all the advantages and the concessions that you would get from doing it up front.
At this stage, correct? Because the advantages come in the land, where the land is, obviously, was, let's talk first and foremost, is that if it's low-income designated project, then they're typically going to look for city land that we have to provide in an exchange under state law. This is not city land, nor was it ever city land. It was private land that was purchased for private development. And we're approving we're approving a zone change, but the Planning Commission approved it in good order as a private residential development.
Correct.
And again, just reiterating for the needs of this community, that provides 300 units, correct?
361.
361 housing units to a community that right now is on the verge of growth and in need of housing. The number one concern that base continues to tell us over and over and over and over again is that we need to address housing. And this is the exact type of project that we've been waiting for. What are the odds that they're going to actually follow through?
So far the developer has been very willing to work with us. I think the bridge is a win for both the development as well as the city. The dirt that they take out of the Bowman Channel will help them to balance the site. So it was just a win-win. And one of the other big things that goes into the zone change for this is we didn't want another blight of a city, a sump area.
Mm-hmm.
We wanted something that they could develop so it would continue the community, because we have a perfectly good channel that's meant for this already in place to handle and facilitate the water that's coming off of that site. So why not utilize that channel and provide living opportunities for other people? So
And continued improvement, because eventually, again, let's be fair, is Bowman probably is an arterial at some point.
Correct.
In the future. We all know that.
It's already classified as an arterial, so.
But I mean, in terms of it expanding to 2-lane and arterial base is, it's not like a maybe. That's probably going to happen at some point in the next, decade of evolution of this community. And the simple fact is that connecting these off of Bowman is going to be a critical element. This is a big step forward on top of 361 units of housing that I guarantee you will be very good for our base. So I think this is a great move forward. You didn't answer my question. If I'm in Vegas, what are my odds?
I honestly, at this point, we could not tell you. We could not answer that. All we know is that the developer has been very, very proactive. They redid their traffic study to show the impact of the 61 units because of the complaints about traffic. We came up and engineered a solution to where that they wouldn't have stuff on radar, and they've been very good with it. So
you're good. So developer, if you're out there watching our council meeting because it's live on YouTube or recorded, I just want to let you know we'd love to see you here, and we hope to see continued housing development in our community. I'll pass it on to any of my other fellow council members.
No, it all looks good. I was going to ask you just a general question, Heather. I know we have the housing element. You're currently going through that. You have another workshop planned. Did this need to be done right now, or could have been lumped in with the other changes that you're about to make to the general plan?
This is the applicant proposed, so it needs to be done right now. We would, due to the developer putting in the access, we would probably not upzone this without that, because it might not be feasible to put that on the residential neighborhood, or to put it on the developer to put in something that we don't have designated as a road.
Cool. Thank you for adding that. That was going to be my next question. When you see, as you see the town unfolding over the next 20 years or so, do you see this happening again in other areas where we're going to upzone like that? I only ask that question because I'm sure that you have a vision for what the city is going to look like. And I'm just trying to make sure that, I'm not trying to ensure anything. I'm just questioning to make sure we're not doing something ad hoc, just willy-nilly when we could be planning it out.
We've actually talked about the same exact on the other side of Norma, between Norma and China Lake Boulevard, because we also have, and that's already zoned R2, R3, and single family, and it's the same situation where you have that large multifamily zoned dumping into single family residential areas with 2 roads, and so it doesn't necessarily make sense.
Okay. Thank you. No, everything's sound. I appreciate
have an
it.
easy question.
Or-
My friend, how can we visualize the type of structures that are going on this? They're not individual homes with yards, are they? Or are they the type that we see now going up on Norma, across the street from the church?
I would say the ones that are going up on Norma are a close resemblance, but just judging by the sophistication of the site plan, the courtyard area, the feature spots within the site, I would say that there would be a little more curb appeal to these. Yeah, and these are 2 and 3 bedroom units, and so it's.
The Planning Commission approved the site plan, and it did have elevations.
That's what I was thinking.
So I'm trying to see.
While she's
Yeah.
furiously searching, oh, I see it from here.
Yeah, so that is on, for anybody who doesn't, it is on our website under the April 25th meeting and the staff report. So the elevations are available right there.
Thank you. Those with long memories will note as I do, because the only way the Bowman Channel, which became known as the Walmart Channel, gets beautified and improved is when a Walmart tends to build anywhere nearby. If this development were a new Walmart, would we expect to see the Bowman Channel beautified and cemented?
So the Bowman Channel in this area is not set for cement. Per our 1989 master drainage plan, this is simply a check dam system that has 3 foot of fall in between each check dam. So this would be a dirt ground that is dug to the full capacity. But we actually we're about 90% done with a set of plans to improve the Bowman Channel with our drainage impact fees from about 100 feet west of Norma all the way to the improvements that were done by Walmart. So the Bowman Channel is our main way of getting water out of town, and that is an emphasis that Public Works is going to have over the next few years, is doing something to remediate some of the issues that we have with where the water spills out and how we get to the water to that area.
I'm eager for a developer to do something big east of Sunset so we can run that channel into Mirror Lake where it belongs.
We're currently looking at, we're going to do a little pilot study next year, hopefully, depending on how budget goes, to try and mitigate some of that and improve some of the channel to where we don't have the overflow issues we have at the end right now.
Travis, thank you.
I just have a question. So on the south end of that map, that's a walking path that continues on. And would the development interfere with that at all?
The development's property line is north of that. The walking path sits between 5 and 7 feet off of property line. So what they would do is their access point would cross it. Where it's crossing it, it would get demoed, and you would have your roadway that would go in, and we would have our standard curb returns and things like that that would go in to allow for ADA access to get across it. The sidewalk, it would be a modified curb return ramp, basically a through and through. So we're not promoting people to walk across the bridge.
That's where my concern was headed, was with the bridge and pedestrian traffic flow or direction. And if that, people do use that walking path, we don't have too many of them in the city. And if it would interfere with, people's exercise and being able to continue to walk through that.
It would just be minimal. There would obviously be sometimes during construction when they were constructing it that leg would be closed. But once the project is built or the phase one is built and the outlet is in, it would go back to normal operation. It would just be a roadway crossing that we would have some signage up, your typical where you cross like we do on Norma.
I think it would look like a roadway. It would probably look like a roadway crossing up as we go up College Heights. That
Well,
walk,
that's what I was- that's
that
what I was-
walkway. There's
Yeah,
a roadway
there's
crossing, but that's
stop signs and places of traffic,
So
crossing.
there is not a proposed three-way stop here.
Okay.
The volume of traffic for that intersection was not high enough to warrant three-way stop there. So it would be what we would envision would be like a two-way left-hand turn lane in the center that would give traffic a chance to merge. And since we're not trying to promote pedestrians, we would not have a crosswalk there. Mid-block crosswalks tend to cause more accidents than they do helping people because it gives people a false sense of security when they're walking across that crosswalk.
And folks could head east-west on it and.
That's the hope, yes.
Be perfect. So, very good, thank you.
I have another quick question. Hopefully I'm not getting too far off of the general plan discussion here. But is this development going to be part of a landscape and lighting district?
That is a condition of the development.
Maybe think of it when Skip was asking about improvements and what that was going to look like. Okay.
It's absolutely one of the conditions to be annexed into our existing landscape and lighting district. So you'd have another zone. So we've got 1A, 1B, 1C. 2 and 3 are Walmart, so it'd probably be like a 3A would be my guess, something like that.
Gotcha.
So it would become a portion of it, yes, it would.
Any other questions from the council?
Do you have something?
Oh, no, I'm going to call for any questions from the public. Please come on up, sir. While he's coming up, I'm just going to go ahead and reiterate that phone number one more time for everyone. That's 760-499-5010 if you'd like to call in for public comment.
So my name is John Van Gilder. I'm at 800 block of Victoria Court. I just have a question. There's a little bit of confusion. On your site plan right here, can you specify where phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3 are? Because in your project description, it doesn't match. Is that upper left-hand corner there at the corner Raider and Downs?
Yeah, so from Raider, the corner, Raider and Downs, all the way to Raider and Heather Court, that's phase 1.
Okay, all right.
I do have the planning staff report right here, and that has all of the site plan, which includes the phasing. And I'm happy to send you a copy to give you the full phasing.
Okay, I was just kind of confused because it said here, phase 2 is located immediately to the south of phase 1, and there's no designation for phase 1. And so, at least on the maps that you sent out to the public. So I was just kind of curious exactly how this is going to pan out. My other question was, and it was answered, was about the bike path or walk bike path. That's important, and also, and I wasn't aware. I didn't get the details. I didn't meet the last meeting or make the last meeting. But of course, the emptying out of is there going to be any type of driveway from the northwest part of the complex onto Downs? Is there going to be there's not going to be any entry or exit? Okay. So it's only going to be on the far north and the far south of the complex, correct?
There's going to be one that lines up with,
One goes out one goes out on Raider, and another one goes out on Bowman. That's the only two entrances. And
no,
exits.
there's 2 on Raider.
Oh, okay.
One lines up with Gordon,
Okay.
and then the other one, it looks like, lines up with Heather Court.
Further down, okay. And then the other one would be pretty much centered further, okay. All right, sounds good. Thank you. I just wanted some clarification. Oh, I do have one other thing. the group of houses that face south between Downs and Gordon, they're going to lose their view of the skyline. I mean, the mountains and the college and all that. They're losing because of the two-story buildings that you're going to be putting up there. They're losing that view. I've already had one person said they're going to sell their house. They just lost their view of the southern part of the valley because of the two-story buildings going to be going up. So they're not happy about that. So they're already thinking about selling their house and moving on to somewhere else. You might see more of that going on to, I don't know. That's not a big deal for some, but to others, the reason they have their house is they have a nice view. And a lot of people here like the nice view. When they have the view, they like to keep it. So just a thought. But I know it's not going to change the outcome of the project. But anyways, all right, thank you.
Thank you. Do we have another one? Thank you, sir.
How you doing, Mr. Freeze?
Hi, good evening. Thanks for the opportunity. I'm Mike Freeze, 636 Glen Court. And I issued an email to Ms. Spurlock and Councilman Blades on the 30th of January, which went over a number of my concerns over the site. I'll focus on a couple of them this evening. The first is, and I can see that significant effort was made at possibly potential high cost for the environmental study, and that appears to be very complete. What I don't see is the infrastructure study on how this would impact the surrounding areas, specifically the Fowler School, the Monroe School, and what a high-density development in that area would look like. Those impacts are yet to be seen with the addition of the Norma project to the Las Flores School, but they expect a negative impact from that development. So I would anticipate that that would also be the case for Fowler and Monroe, and I would caution the council to take that into account before a rezoning that would allow this project. Secondly, as you can see on the map, it's a heavy area for recreation. There's a lot of paths through there, not just the walking and bike path, but I see people out there every morning walking their animals, playing with their children, and in the spirit of the open spaces retention, this is a key area for recreation in the southwest part of our town. So that complex would just take away a lot of recreation for people that have used this for years. I myself have lived on the north side of Raider for 34 years and seen 3 children grow up using that desert along with all the neighbors. So again, council, I would just caution you, from what I've heard tonight and seen in the plans, a lot of the project is still speculatory. I appreciate your question, Mayor Bruin, about what are the chances. We don't know yet. And with that, I don't think that we want to change a zoning from parks, where recreation is ensured, at least as the open space. I understand the rest of it's a medium or low-density residential, but I and dozens of other residents, and I'm interested to know the swath of people that were received notification of this. It appears with the people I've talked to, it's just the immediate area, and nobody out further than a couple blocks away has been notified. Some of my associates on the Mariposa, Mahan area and Inyo didn't know anything about it. So I would solicit or ask that the council involve a wider area of footprint, because it does affect more than just the immediate area. And until we can get certainty on some of these questions, I urge the council to vote no on the rezoning and wait for development and the occupancy rates for current projects underway to be known, so that we don't end up building another high-density development that has minimal occupancy or that causes vacancies in other areas of town and presents a whole nother blight issue in those vacancies. So thank you for your time, council, And again, I just ask you to approach this with caution. Longtime residents know and use that recreational area daily. And thank you again for your time.
My friend, before you step away, I have a question for you.
Yes.
You've been here almost as long as I have. Is it possible? See, I don't know where this area is, taking a longer view of Ridgecrest. Is it possible this area, this open area, includes the site where Ted Fowler crashed his F-86 years and years ago?
That's further west, but no, that's not the site.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Hey, Mr. Freeze, sorry if I missed your email.
Possibly. January 30th, Ms. Spurlock did provide response. I can resend.
Please do resend. If I missed it, I feel awful about that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, that's not
But
a
probably if
problem.
Heather responded, then I considered it good. 'Cause Heather's all over it. But anyways.
And some of the response, if I may continue. With respect to demand signal and demographic that would occupy, the response I got was that there was no data. And I suggest that we acquire that data and take a look at what our current conditions are supporting, both demographically and volume-wise. If we end up with a 50% vacancy on the new Norma project, it would make no sense to rezone from parks for a brand new 300-plus unit development.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Freeze. I do have a question for Martin, if I could. Given the presentation and passing Planning Commission, is there any action for the council? Is there any way we could hold this up? I know that seems like an awful rough. We could, but we would also we would have to have legal reason.
I'm sorry.
For the council not to approve this, we would have to have legal reason, is my assumption.
You would have to have what?
Legal reason, legal cause?
You would have to have grounds for not approving it, but those are factual matters, and that's, it is up to your discretion. A general plan amendment and a zone change is a discretionary act. I'll remind you that the project is not before you. The project has already been approved.
You're right.
So
the zoning and change.
This is the zoning.
Yep, the zoning and I understand.
Right.
But
So-
changing
so-
that zoning is a pretty big impact.
Right, and what is being proposed is to change the density of this area from 300. So a project could exist on this site with 300 units without a change in zoning. What the developer is asking is that you upgrade the zoning to allow for 361 units.
So a 20% increase roughly.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, what that
But you've heard the testimony, you have evidence in front of you, and you have a ability to make a discretionary decision on whether or not you want to approve the rezone.
Remember, the reason for the higher density is so these can be built at market rate. The lower the density, the less chance we have of having market rate, and the better chance we have of having designated affordable housing, which brings with it other entitlements.
I believe there's one more member of the public that
My
wanted to speak.
apologies.
Donnelly, 533. Oh, sorry.
Thank you, ma'am.
The mayor knows me from Friends of the Library. Speaking to him recently about that. Anyway, it seems for years and years, whenever a discussion of parks, funding of parks in Ridgecrest came up, it was always, well, we'll do it. We're just going to charge the new developments, the contractors who are building the new developments. And every damn time some project comes up, the parks fee is waived, just like this one. I want to know, why is the park fee always waived? And I think it's very necessary to have a park area for this development, because I have lived in developments where there are children and there was no place for them to recreate, and believe me, they raise hell and they get very destructive. There should be some area here for the children. It's very important for all the residents as well as the children. And anyway, I would like to know why are those fees for the parks always waived?
I can answer that. So this project is not asking for any impact fees to be waived. So as the gentleman before addressed with the schools, the school impact fee is paid, and the park impact fee is paid. What is before the council tonight is a park designation. And so this is private property. So in order for the city to change it into a park, the city would have to purchase the property from the private party and change it into a park. So the park designation is just a general plan guide to where years ago they decided that there may have been a use for a park. The city would have to acquire that property and pay for that property and then develop the property. And as you see with the developer developing the project, you would also need access to this property to get a park and get people to a park and get parking for a park. There is no road.
No,
No, a park for the residents.
Well, and that's the other thing with the project. The developer has playgrounds in the project for the residents. So they will have community playgrounds and activities on site for their residents already. So we're not saying that they don't have to have any of those things. They're already proposing that for their residents. So they will have playgrounds, and I believe they have a community center. So they're going to have those things for their community already. What we're just talking about is a designation for a proposed future park.
But I would like to vote with this gentleman and say that 361 units is too much. I think 300 would be more appropriate. And a community is usually evaluated by the number of apartments versus the number of houses. And I think we're getting too apartment heavy in this town. Thank you.
Actually, I think the only apartments we've had built in the last 20 to 30 years is the ones that are currently under development.
Larkspur and Mojave View.
And I think
And the senior.
going back to the
Senior.
park designation of that piece of property, I think it was erroneously done, because normally when you designate property in the general plan for parks, it's owned by a government
It's gotta be
entity.
owned.
It's owned by a government entity. So, when staff looked at this, it was more of the thought of, why did this happen? Why did we zone, somebody's private property in an island as parks? And so I think that was erroneously done.
And I think that's a big thing. I would chime in and thank you for our speakers. Thank you for providing good insight on thoughts and proposals. And one of the ones that struck me is, I tend to agree with, the idea that there's you're losing the view, but you're also losing the view to private property that is owned across the street, that's not owned by the city or by any other party, that they're attempting to develop like anybody else would. We have the question of whether 300 versus 361 is a suitable zoning change. But if they were to choose to go to 300 units, we would have no authority on which to say they can't develop or block views or things of that nature. We wouldn't have that type of authority for that type thing, because it's private property that was sold to a developer. I happen to know the property very well because I looked at it years ago for something else, when it was being sold. So I recognize and understand that, but at the same time, these big swaths of desert that are in our community that are not city property, they always can be developed, unfortunately, and citizens have to be aware of that. A developer can come in and develop private property. Any other council comments? Any other public comments on the phone? Huh?
Is this,
Did Ahsoka have anything to add?
Not unless you guys have questions for him.
I don't believe so.
I just have a general comment. I think it's just, as long as we I'm really looking at you and Travis, Heather. We're paying attention to, I mean, that was a fair comment to say that it feels like we're getting too apartment heavy. There's a lot of people who live in Ridgecrest because it is Ridgecrest. A lot of people who grew up here or been here 34 years that want this place to grow organically, not stop growth, but grow organically. And just seeing a bunch of apartment complexes everywhere is sometimes just as much as a blight as seeing desert parcels in the middle of a housing. So I'm hoping that you guys have your eye on that, and that, I mean, we can control that with zoning. We can control that with our general plan. Are you? Is that something that you're paying attention to?
I know there's a pocket park really close that we could develop.
Yeah, you caught a lot of flack over that. I'm just making sure, right? Because if I was watching this right now and I was listening to the city council, it looks like we're looking at zoning, we're moving forward, we're just going to go ahead with it. But every single time we make a decision like this that seems simple, it has a 20, 30-year ramification. It has an echo throughout. And people who have been here, generations, either older than me or even younger than me, they're looking at us to make sure that we are being active in how we plan this city, and then we're paying attention to what it looks like. So I just want to make sure that we're giving it justice.
And on that line, I'm going to echo something for the older me and younger me, the comment you made. The number one concern that we have in recruitment and retention for the military base and for the long term of this community is housing. When we have people that are looking to, younger generations, looking to move into the community, trying to find a place to set their feet, trying to find their homes, I promise you that their first choice is not the apartment building that was built in 1965 that's one bedroom and 500 square feet, because they're coming to be an engineer on the base, or they're coming to work on the base, or they're coming to do something in terms of the military. They are looking for a 2 to 3 bedroom apartment building. They're looking for a newer one. They're looking for something that's going to help retain. And I know that this is a concern that we have to address in the long run for the community. We love the fact that we have so much of our older developments and older fields, but the simple fact is that Larkspur's filled. Mojave View is going to fill. And the odds of something like this from a development perspective, especially for younger generations and for generations looking to move here, having an alternative to being able to purchase a home, especially if we want to just take into account the interest rates right now. If you're somebody who is on the edge, the interest rates just pushed you over the edge of being able to acquire a home. And we have to have means to provide that type of resource. So, I mean, just from a long, like you said, younger me, older me, I can see how if we don't solve housing for the next generation of Ridgecrest citizens, we're going to find ourselves in a challenge at some point down the line.
Well, I think Travis is going to address this development and talk about the phasing, but I want to mention that we do talk with the builders frequently, because I work very closely with buildings, so, and my sphere is very small. So, and I can tell you that the people that are building infill and building those, what our normal people would call high-priced multifamily, are they're getting that rent and they're filling those units because exactly what you're saying. People are looking for that. They're happy to pay that. So that's market. They're saying there's a need and they're filling it. That's their perspective, and so it seems to be working out for them. So I think that kind of adds to what you're saying.
Yeah, one of the other things that we're looking at is as we update the housing element, we may be required during that process to rezone some areas that are even R1, R2 to a higher density. So as we're proactive in addressing our density issue, we need to address it as we have control of it versus when we do this housing element, we may be rezoning commercial to residential, high density. So right now, this is not an affordable housing project. This is just a project that wants to come in at market rate, but needs a little more density, if they're going to build, to be able to make it to where it pencils out.
I think one of the other things that we need to focus on too is if we don't have a need, this project is phased. The first phase is 94 units. If they fill 41 of those 94 units, they're not going to build phase 2 and phase 3. So it's not going to make sense. And with that sentiment, I do say this from what I have heard, there's already a waiting list for the Mojave View apartments. So
Historically, looking way back, I just realized that the old Wary housing quietly fulfilled that buffer role for new employees. I know I was there, 205 Roballo.
You're talking about the housing that used to be up at the base that they cleared?
No, Wary housing.
Huh?
Wary housing is what he's talking about.
That's
Wary.
La
Oh my
Mirage.
La
gosh.
Mirage.
Thank you. Sorry.
Yeah,
You gotta be a townie.
its name and reputation has changed greatly since then, but it was a place we had to move into when we came out to this strange desert.
And there actually is some talks about doing some redevelopment over there. I've had a couple of engineers reach out to me about adding on to some of those units and making them 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, adding additional bathrooms, things like that to them. So
That would be terrific.
I got one last thing. Mr. Freeze brought up a couple of points when it came to the actual, before this is rezoned. Travis, have you looked into utilities and water?
So right now, when it comes to water, the district provides a will serve letter. That is a requirement for us before any building permits can be pulled or anything like that. Without there being a moratorium on water and use, like in Barstow, there's really no law that says they can't come build this. As far as sewer is concerned, sewer is available. We have sewer down Raider, we have sewer in Downs, we have sewer on Bowman. So we have the ability and the capacity in those lines to handle sewer. So as far as utilities are concerned right now, Red Rock was having to do some other, I just know this because I was involved with it, was having to pull off of a different zone from the water district to get B-zone water for pressure for 3-story units. This is a little bit further down gradient and they're only 2-story units. I would venture to say, just based on my knowledge of the system, that I think there would be more than adequate water to supply it as far as pressure-wise, sustainability for fire sprinklers and things like that. As far as the ongoing water problem here, I can't answer that and I can't say anything to that, but.
Okay. Any other council comments? Okay. I will go ahead and bring it back to the council, and I will entertain a motion for approval of the recommendation with the amended language as presented by Ms. Spurlock. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Burr, Mayor, we actually have to do the three,
Oh,
because
that's
one
right, I
of
have
them
to
is
do
an
3 parts.
ordinance,
My
and then we
apologies.
have to do the resolution with the amendment, please.
My apologies, I should go back to my script. Thank you for correcting me. Okay. So do I have a motion to introduce by title only an ordinance of the Ridgecrest City Council amending the zoning map, zone change ZC 2201 of the city of Ridgecrest with the amendment, with the amended language, which one needs to have the
The
amended
amendment's
language?
only in the resolution.
So the
Correct.
fourth one.
Yes, I'm sorry, sir, you are correct. It's also in the ordinance.
With the amended language as presented by Ms. Spurlock. Do I have a motion?
Thank you.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call?
Mayor Bruin,
Aye.
Mr. Blades,
Aye.
Mr. Rajaratnam,
Aye.
Mr. Heyman,
Aye.
Mr. Gorman,
Aye.
5 ayes, motion carries.
Next item is do I have a motion to waive a reading in full an ordinance of the Ridgecrest City Council amending the zoning map zone change ZC 2201 of the city of Ridgecrest with the amended language as presented by Ms. Spurlock?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Roll call?
Mayor Bruin,
Aye.
Mr. Blades,
Aye.
Mr. Rajaratnam?
Aye.
Mr. Heyman?
Aye.
Mr. Gorman?
Aye.
5 ayes, motion carries.
Next, do I have a motion to approve the corresponding resolution of the Ridgecrest City Council approving General Plan Amendment GPA 2201 and approval of a mitigated negative declaration in connection with the proposed amendments with the amended language as presented by Ms. Spurlock?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and second. Roll call.
Mayor Bruin?
Aye.
Mr. Blades?
Aye.
Mr. Rajaratnam?
Aye.
Mr. Heyman?
Aye.
Mr. Gorman?
Aye.
5 ayes, motion carries.
Thank you very much. I do want to thank the public and community for sharing information and allowing for a great dialogue. Next on our agenda is our committee reports. On committee reports are subject to change and will be announced. They have the city org report from 5-4, which is myself and Mr. Gorman. You want to take it, me?
Oh. We'll tag team this.
Okay, our tag team is we beat up on waste management for an hour.
Well, they did send some visitors.
Yeah, so City Org was a good conversation. I want to make sure that our community knows that the City Org Committee is working on continuously working on our trash issues. We actually had 2 really good things on the agenda for City Org. The first was a presentation by a company who is proposing for the continuation of our improvement of our Balsam downtown district, that we saw a proposal and some items for potentially providing banners along Balsam Street and the historical downtown district. This is a program which they provide the banners. Obviously, they attempt to sell sponsorships through our local businesses to provide those banners. This would be separated from the military banner program. That is not the same. This would be something that would be unique to the city of Ridgecrest and specifically for highlighting our downtown district areas, Balsam Street and the historical district on Ridgecrest Boulevard. Heard the proposal, actually addressed staff and sent them with direction to see if this can come together. We think it's a cost neutral to the city and truly actually would give us I'm wearing the shirt. We're going to talk about Night on Balsam again before the night's out, but I promise you what we're trying to do is make a more vibrant downtown Balsam district and historical district, and this would just simply add to that. The second was we had visitors from Waste Management, and after getting our updates on our progress with Echo Hero and our continued information out to the community on the SB 1383 implementation, we had a long chat with Ashley, with their director, with their local rep, with their local office rep. And, again, we're not claiming that we're not having some bumps in the road in the trash implementation. But some of those challenges are, going to be worked out. And like anything else, if you've been a part of any business or any community group over the last 2 years, staffing is a challenge. And waste management is no different than anybody else. When they have staffing challenges, they have to hire new people, teach them the routes, have them understand how to use it. We have local contacts. I can promise you this much, that if you reach out to us and you have a problem, we will get you in touch with somebody. We will work with you. And then I'll reiterate what one of the concerns that Ms. Merckx raised earlier today. I wholeheartedly agree with her that the county has failed in communicating with the citizens affected by their public works decision. I know we've taken a lot of heat and criticism in regards to the decision for the biweekly trash service, but that biweekly trash service would have been the difference. I mean, for us, I believe it's $380 a year. For county residents, it's going to be $550 a year. That variance between those two numbers is your biweekly trash service. It simply is, because if you take the number of routes, the number of pickups, and what it takes, that's where it hits. The other big issue is, we have a lot of county residents that don't have service right now. So they're doubly upset that all of a sudden, nor do they have an option out, but more importantly, they have it now on their property tax bill, and they're not even going to get the chance to peacefully protest the bill. Excuse me
That's
again.
what I was going to reiterate. That's a hit to a lot of people, that being on your property taxes. Because what if you're leaving that?
What if you're on a
it's
fixed
vacant?
income? And I mean, I totally feel for what Sophia said, and I don't debate with her at all. But the county really should have done a better job. We started asking them last fall, when are you going to get information out? When are you going to get information out? We're holding town halls. When are you going to get information out? I'm not trying to dog the county. I'm just trying to say, we know they went through some challenges, and I'm sorry for the county residents who call Ridgecrest their home, but this is a decision that is completely outside of our control. Kern County is in charge of managing the implementation of SB 1383 in the unincorporated areas of Kern County, which are the surrounding communities of Ridgecrest that are not part of our city. I'm sorry. I guess you could look at it this way. You could choose one side of the road that says, I get biweekly trash service, and the other side of the road, I pay $170 more a year.
I thank you. The fact is, we may have clouded up and rained on them a bit in committee, but
You weren't gentle.
I'm feeling perhaps not enough. We gather. I watched Kyle and names. Stop this name business. Give us numbers. Megan, extend themselves in educating the public how to deal with this, especially this new trash issue after the imbroglio of COVID, and watch as Waste Management tries to recover and gather itself. And they did a good job. But I think what's next is Waste Management, upper management, has got to gather together the local staff, including the drivers. And, well, they could start out by reading a narrative that I got from a lady simply named Deborah in email, that a long, descriptive, narrative about her breathtaking experience with getting her trash emptied. It took my breath away, and it angered me. And though her first reaction was simply to call Waste Management, not us, Waste Management, and that link between the customer and Waste Management is broken. It didn't work. Didn't work in several ways. It should. Local contact, everybody should have that number. And by the way, as I understand it, that number is for Kelly, the local lady, in Waste Management, 760-375-8495. Now it's vital that an unsatisfied customer whose trash wasn't picked up, and she waited long enough to make the call, that call should be picked up by a live, warm-blooded human being who responds to it, not somebody in Texas or recording or a labyrinth of different buttons to push. I'd invite those people from Waste Management and the nice lady from Lancaster, bring her boss. Come visit again. I'll read them Deborah's narrative. And I'll be prepared to cloud up and rain on them again. Oops, I editorialized too much. That's all I had to say.
Are there any questions from council in regards to city org?
None.
None? The other thing, just a couple quick notes that I didn't fail to mention them. They have 5 new drivers. They have new trucks coming in. They're running up to 7:30 p.m. daily in order to try and manage with the number of drivers that they have. And just one more quick tip that I learned is you can go into your Waste Management account in your billing, and you can set up to receive text notifications if your service is delayed as a result of the staffing. And mine was delayed, but I got a text notification. And good to their word, they delivered everything I asked, everything I was in need of, which was a replacement barrel as well as my pickup, the next business day in accordance with that text message. So if you're trying to make your life a little bit easier, just giving yourself that little bit of piece of information, I have seen that they are working that communication angle to try and let people know if they are having challenges with a pickup on a specific day. Okay. Next committee was Finance. Doc, you take this one.
Okay. So Finance did meet. We covered items pertaining to revenue update, transient occupancy tax review, ARPA update, and third quarter review. So I'm happy to say that overall state or the city's revenues are in good order. Just a brief kind of overview of it. The sales tax is up a bit, so we're sitting good there. Basically, per Cherie, we're on par overall. Moving on to, that was transient occupancy. Property taxes, we're sitting pretty consistent with previous and anticipate being right on par for next year. And TOT is up a little bit. So overall, I mean, there's no big holes to elaborate on, and overall, it looks like finances are moving comfortably along.
I would simply say the city's financial position remains strong and vibrant thanks to the support of our citizens, specifically Measure V and Measure P. If you, finance meetings are the first Tuesday each month. No, second Tuesday each month, sorry. Is that right? Second Monday? Second Tuesday. Second Tuesday. I'm like, I don't want to sound stupid here. The second Tuesday each month, we would always welcome your participation. A couple other things I would throw in there. Just interestingly, when we budget our expectations, the one category that's not meeting expectations budgetarily is property taxes. A lot of people would say, well, why would that be? Well, I want to just give you a little diatribe. When we talk about the housing that we talked about today, and we talked about some of the other things, property taxes are driven by what our sale prices are. And our community has had, for an extended period of time, a generally depressed home value. Now, I can tell you that one of the things that does help substantially improve that home value is rental value. If your rental entry point for a quality unit is $800, then your entry point for your houses tends to be depressed too. They do work in conjunction. And so development of things like the zoning approval that we just made, those in the long run do help our long-term property tax base. And while it may not seem important, guys, we have 4 sources of revenue for this community. Well, technically 5 if you put TOT on there, but TOT produces about 1/6 of all the others relatively. But when you look at sales tax and property tax, our sales tax base between Measure V and Measure P provide the substantive base relative compared to property taxes and TOT. We can show it historically, we can show it to you over and over and over again, that the way that this city is able to operate and do the things it's able to do is thanks to the citizens' support of those 2 measures. And I'm going to keep reiterating it every single day and every single time because it's the citizens that have invested in this community, and we appreciate that. But we have to continue to find ways to make improvements in this community if we want to see the growing changes in property taxes and property values. I don't have anything else from finance specifically. The reports are great. We're going to have more good news, and I would hope that I will see as passionate a turnout of citizens on May 31st, which is our budget workshop. And that will be when, right, 31st?
Yes.
Yeah, May 31st, 5 p.m. we'll be doing our budget workshop here. That's 4 hours of entertainment for me and 4 hours of agony for everyone else. because I enjoy talking budget, but it's a good opportunity for you to really kind of dig in as a citizen, and we hope you'd be there to join us and talk about all the things that we are now getting into the position to talk about for next year as well. So I have nothing else from finance.
I don't either. I would just add that, that property tax issue is a kind of a double-edged sword. It's, on one hand, we like to see affordable housing, but it is a vital part of our revenues in the city. And of course, when it comes to selling your house, you want to see,
Your values
valuable
improve.
prices of the homes. But so we look at from the business side of the city's finance that, it is a vital income to the city. But it has its benefits too when those property values do rise for those that own homes and or selling them. But anyway, overall, we're looking good.
Yeah, and a property like the development that's being proposed provides more property taxes to the citizens and to the community and growth. I don't think any other committees have met since then, correct? Okay, other committees, boards, or commissions? I know I'm going, I don't know if Ron is joining me, but EKA is tomorrow.
No, we have a call with the Navy tomorrow that we have to be at.
Okay.
But
Me and Megan may be
Yeah,
going.
Megan's going, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I may be just going to help continue relationships with Tehachapi.
The East Kern Air Pollution Board. Sorry, I thought I had my notes up and then I closed my notebook. This is going to be mainly thrown over to Travis. There was some discussion about an opportunity to replace small motors. It's not solid yet, right? But there was going to be like a grant, for lack of a better word, to turn in. Basically, you turn in some of your small gas motors, and then I guess I should point this at Narissa as well, and then you could get replace those with electrical equipment. It's not fully vetted, it's not fully hammered out, but it's being discussed at the county level and on the pollution board. It's coming. Right. So I asked questions afterwards, and they were like, "Well, nothing's in stone, so don't get your hopes up." I figured that was going to be the answer, but I still want to let you know that it's coming. It's being discussed. That's it. Good call.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good call. Any other committees, boards, or commissions? Okay, hearing none. This is a city manager report.
I have none.
You have none. Future agenda items. Do we have any future agenda items? No. Mayor and council comments. We'll start with Mr. Blades and go that direction.
Nothing.
Nothing. Solomon?
I think it was a good discussion on the housing project. But we need to look at the need of this community and the base, and also the hospital. So that's what we are looking at. So I think I do understand the concerns of public, but at the end of the day, I think we made the right choice here. Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Rajaratnam, we are looking at the possibility of a follow-on military installation resistant grant that will be addressing specifically housing availability for military personnel as well as DoD staff.
Scott?
I'm good, thank you.
Skip?
It occurs to me at this part of the agenda, I would probably bring up the subjects I would write about if I was back to doing my local audio blogs. And I think I would talk about helium balloons. I saw a picture, a sad, heartbreaking picture on Facebook of a dead local fox. We have local foxes choked on a helium balloon. There's a group of kids that selflessly go out in the desert and collect them, rather than have them kill lots of local critters. And I think it's a problem. And I'd write about that. Also, I'd write about aggressive local panhandlers. A lady was upset recently, and I forget how I got the information, about being approached by two aggressive panhandlers over by what used to be Mervin's, and she was frightened. That's a bother. I'm unsure if there's a recommended reaction, perhaps by the police, of what to do when you're feeling threatened by an aggressive local panhandler. I'd like to know what those are. That's it.
Thank you, sir. Well, I'm going to just throw out a couple things to just talk about, some things that you may not hear or be aware, but it may not seem like there's a huge amount on these last two agendas of the city, but that's because, well, May is a month that we spend a lot of time doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes, and that all leads to the budget workshop on May 31st. It's your opportunity, citizens. Come out, join us in that dialogue, join us in the conversation. Our staff has worked they work beginning budget in February. And they are, you kind of imagine that they're like running a marathon, and it's a 3-month marathon. They don't get to just kind of sink their teeth in and say, here's everything I want. No, they have to make wish lists, and then they have to go department by department. And then they have to decide what capital projects we can do, what projects we can't do, where is our best investment for our funds. And then on top of that, they have to come back and they have to convince a group of 5 people that their decisions are the best decisions for the city. That's not an easy job, people. It's not. Because how do you weigh out one person who tells you we need 15 parks with the same person that says we need to invest a ton of money in roads? And I just want to thank you guys. I'm looking forward to budget. And for the public, these agendas are light because we're doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes. And that's what May is. May is that budget time. But May is also a time where we really start to celebrate the next generation of youth in our community. And I want to congratulate our Cerro Coso graduates that graduate on the 11th, and I also want to congratulate our Burroughs scholars who received their scholarships. I believe it was on Monday, and just seeing the incredible range of students that we have and what their hopes and dreams and aspirations are, again, continues to remind me why Ridgecrest is such an incredible community. I want to go ahead and address the Brown Act conversation. I made the mistake of actually trying to accommodate somebody with that phone number, and I think you heard me say the phone number 6 times today, because I do agree with you. If you can't find the phone number, well, it is available on the website, and it is available on every agenda. It is on social media. We could mail it to you. We could send you a tattoo. We could get you a bumper sticker. We could do a lot of things to try and get the phone number out there. And I'll continue to repeat the phone number at meetings. But I made the mistake of somebody saying, hey, I don't have a phone. I can't find the phone number. I can't find the phone number. I got a comment to make. I had no idea who's trying to make a comment or what or why or anything else. And I tried to be nice, and I let it happen during reports. And the next thing that I know is I've got Mr. Blades providing us just insight on a committee discussion. Nothing more, nothing less. We can come and have another discussion at economic development. No contracts have been signed. But then the outcry comes, and we're going to AI the world, and we're going to do this. And I got to tell you, it really makes me wonder how many people have logged on to a website and accepted cookies. Because cookies are exactly the same thing. Cookies are little bits of data that show where your traffic is. Anybody logged on to Amazon and seen your recommended purchases and you're, damn, how did they know I wanted that? It's called technology, and it's called data. It's data mining. Just because you're data mining information on what people's spending patterns are or usage patterns does not mean that it says John Smith went to Balsam Liquors 5 times this week, and we should probably get him into an AA program. It simply says that card number XYZ, which never is disclosed, okay? It's a 16-digit PAN that uses now 9 digits, as I know that from my profession. And on top of that, it's not saying it's as what type of purchase, where was it purchased? And none of that is what we're looking for. We're actually using data on your cell phone. So if everybody that really has a terrible problem with AI, I encourage you to take your cell phone out to your backyard, destroy it, and bury it in the ground. Because if you don't think that data is being used every single day in every single modern city to analyze what the economics of that city is, you're wrong. If you walk down to Los Angeles, which I know everyone does, or Lancaster, or Bakersfield, do you believe that there are not businesses and groups that are tracking your cell phone while you're in those areas? Of course they are. Are they tracking you? No. They're tracking the information. The same way as a cookie is putting a bit of information in your computer that tells them what IP address you came from, what you looked at. Amazon tracks what did you decide you wanted to shop for. And the simple fact is that when we made the decision that it was in reports, there is not public comment in reports. Anybody who walked through reports tonight saw there was no public comment requested. There never is public comment within reports. There never has been public comment in reports. So I'm going to go ahead and make my apology now for the record for anyone else out there who wants to throw the Brown Act out like a weapon of mass destruction against this council over and over and over again. I made the mistake of allowing a citizen to tell me that they didn't have the phone number and they were really trying to communicate something important. I had no idea who that citizen was. I had no idea who was the citizen that called in after it. I had no idea what Mr. Blades wanted to discuss because I was not at the Economic Development Committee. And for the record, that's exactly what the Brown Act is supposed to do, is not have us colluding and communicating at random at all times. So we are following it, trying to follow it to the letter, and we are trying to also try and engage our citizens. So if you want to weaponize it, knock yourself out. I'm not going to get upset about it because I know we're looking at the best interests of Ridgecrest and making sure that Ridgecrest is using the proper modern technology to assert ourselves as a better community. And I'm going to stand by that over and over and over and over again. Finally, I want to go ahead and compliment a couple projects that got completed. Mr. Reed and his Public Works Department, it was an absolute honor to honor them this week because, man alive, are you guys tearing it up out there. Keep it up. All I'm hearing is positives when I hear roads. They are seeing things, and I got to tell you, your response over social media this week was absolutely the most professional thing I'd seen in a long time. And thank you for that. And thank you for your department and all the work they're doing. Hey guys, we know there's weeds in the median. We know that there's a pothole over on Jones. We know that there's a this. We know that there's a that. We only have so much staff and we have them spread thinly across a ton of road projects. I promise you, you're not being fallen on deaf ears, but if we can't jump off of our seat and take care of it in 5 minutes, that doesn't mean we're ignoring you. It just means that we literally have a line of projects right now. And with that same vein, I'm going to go and compliment our parks director, which is Narissa. Narissa, I got the text today. I happened to see it on Saturday. I've had a citizen that's been reaching out to me over and over again. When are those softball shades coming up? When are those softball shades coming up? There's no more pleasurable feeling as a council member than to send the email that says, they're up. And once again, is that a big deal? No. But when I walked to the families that were playing softball on Saturday, every single one of them said, we really appreciate this. Thank you. Thank you for our kids. Thank you for our parents that are here watching. And those bleachers were filled with parents watching their kids play softball in the shade. Is it the most important thing in the world? No. Is it important to our community? Yes. Is it a continued sign of what we're doing? Yes. But that project was approved, I believe it was in my second meeting after my first election. So it took 2.5 years to get there because these projects do not happen overnight. And for everyone out there squawking or complaining or you're not doing this, you're not doing that, I want you to take a moment and look around you and look at everything we are doing. And I want you to let the scales of justice work in your head. Are we doing nothing? Are we doing the best that we can with the resources we have as fast as we can to improve this community and continue us on a proper, positive road of growth for a long-term growth of this community? Ridgecrest has spent too many years in our shell hiding and not growing, not developing. And we finally have that momentum going with us. And I'm not going to get off the gas on that because we don't like one thing. I appreciate it, but we're here to serve 30,000 citizens in this community. And I know that what we're doing with roads and what we're doing with parks and what we're doing in so many other areas are the right direction, and I'm very confident of that. So Narissa, thank you for that. Thank you for doing that for our kids. Parks and Rec has a 2-page sheet of projects. I was very proud I got to line through one. She only has 27 others to go. That's the kind of things we're working on. I think you're going to see it throughout this year. I've had people say, there's so much road work, it's problematic. You ain't seen nothing yet because we still got China Lake coming. And then they say, well, there's so much work going down. You ain't seen nothing in parks yet because we're going to deliver the pool. We're going to deliver an improvements to Leroy Jackson Sports Complex. We're going to continue to deliver new things to make our quality of life better and for our children's quality of life to be better. And thank you for getting that done. With that, I want to go ahead and close off with just a reminder that we will have an announcement probably about the second week of, maybe the first week of June for Pool Town Hall number 3. We'll be having everyone come back for our final town hall. That'll be sometime in mid-June. And then last, my plea, I was kind of embarrassed. I walked in here after doing my TikTok video and in the shirt for Night on Balsam and my staff shirt. And I decided, no, I want to wear this proudly. Do you know why? Because our staff is working. I got called on that, and I got to make sure I correct myself in my head on that one. Our staff is working their tails off to make sure that we have a great event for this community that it exceeds Night on Balsam 1, and I know they are. And I walk out there and I see the passion and the effort and everything else that I got no problem standing here wearing a very proud Night on Balsam shirt, that I'll be out there meeting with our community, socializing with our community, getting them out and showing them how much we're going to continue to build on Ridgecrest. And I hope to see you out there. Come on out, have a drink, grab something to eat, support our local businesses, but more importantly, get to know your neighbors. See what we're up to. Ask us what we're doing. We'll be happy to talk to you. So with that, I wish you all a wonderful evening, and I wish you a great rest of the month of May, and we'll see you in June.